Hey everybody, it's Katy Anderson, Youth Director at Beaver Lodge Alliance Church. Today I wanted to do something just a little bit different, and I wanted to show you a video. So I'm trying out Zoom and hoping that I don't mess it up too badly, but I just thought it would be kind of fun, just instead of me talking, if we just kind of watched a video. Now, it is a kids video. However, I do recall a certain youth group demanding to watch Veggie Tales. So, just throwing that out there, if you're complaining that you want to watch VeggieTales at one point, so this is right up your alley. But this video is on Peter and Jesus and when Jesus is walking on the water. And it was actually just something that really struck me this week. So we're going to watch the video, and then I'm just going to share just a little bit afterwards. So hang tight. And here we go.
Stories of the Bible. Peter walks on water. This is Peter.
Hey-o! Whoop.
Peter was a fisherman who was called by Jesus.
Hey!
Peter saw the many miracles of Jesus,
Whoa!
and he heard all his teachings. Great crowds followed Jesus wherever he went. One day, after Jesus had done a great miracle, he sent the disciples in a boat across the lake while he stayed and sent the people home.
See ya! Thank you, Dad.
After sending them home, Jesus went up into the hills by himself to pray. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them, walking on water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!"
Hold on there.
But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage. I am here." Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water." So Jesus said, "Yes, come." So Peter went over the side of the boat
Whoa! You're awesome!
and walked on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sing.
Dada! Help me!
"Save me, Lord!" he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. Jesus said, "You have so little faith. Why did you doubt me?" When they climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped. Then the disciples worshipped him and said, "You really are the Son of God."
So I really like this story and the way they did that just for several reasons. One, because they kind of have it like Jesus is one of those old women power walkers at the mall. And for some reason, that just actually really brightened my week, just kind of watching that and just being like, oh man, he just looks like he's like power walking through the mall. But in all, like, back to the story, there's a couple things that I actually really like this story and about Peter specifically. Sometimes in the Bible, there's characters and humans that make terrible life choices and they don't have a lot of faith and all these kinds of things. And I think it's really important for us to remember that just because they're in the Bible doesn't elevate them over you and I. So Peter is literally just like us and makes the same mistakes, if not worse mistakes than us. So there's times in my life where I really need encouragement and to build myself up. And so it's stories kind of like these and throughout the New Testament where it's like, man, they're dumb too. And it's just good to remember that you can look at these Bible characters and be like, well, at least I didn't do that. And it's not that it's a whole comparison thing, but it's just kind of nice to give yourself a break like that and be like, hey, they even messed up in the Bible. And that's what we hold so near and dear. So first thing, give yourself a break. If you feel like you're just failing or just falling constantly, like, welcome to the club. Like, we're all messing up. Everyone's learning something new. Everyone's doing something new right now. it's hard. It messes with you, and that's okay. But the second thing that I want to talk about is that Peter actually went out and got on that water. So he did actually make that step of faith. And in the Bible, it talks about Peter didn't even think about it. Like he was just so focused on getting to Jesus that I don't think he actually really understood what he was doing. And so he just gets out and he's just walking because his eyes are right on Jesus. And it's not until he takes his eyes off Jesus and looks at his surroundings that he gets super overwhelmed and terrified. And I, in my own life, like when there's times like in my marriage and at work, where if I'm not keeping my eyes on Jesus, it doesn't take too long for things to fall apart and for things to not work out or go smoothly. And it's because I'm working on my own power and I have faith in myself. And Katy can only get herself so far, as I've learned so many times. But then Jesus catches him. Like Jesus doesn't even like let him flounder. He just immediately grabs him. But he also was like, "What got into you?" Which I think is just a really powerful statement just coming from Jesus, where it's like, I'm literally standing right here. What happened? Um, and to me, that's just a really good reality check that I think we all need. Like Jesus isn't someone that just like coddles us and pats us on the head. He's like, oh, like it'll be better next time. Like Jesus calls us to better and better. Like he always calls us to be better, which is just something that's really crucial to the Christian faith. And that's the whole idea of just not being complacent and just staying on like this low, safe level of our faith and just being, well, I'm really comfortable just like being in the background and cleaning and not talking to anyone, or Jesus, like you're great, but I'm just gonna leave you over here on the shelf. um but Jesus always calls us to more. And more looks different for every single person. There's not a formula to getting to know Jesus more. It's all up to you and how Jesus best relates to you. Maybe like when you go out and you go for a walk and you just kind of in nature, you see Jesus, you're like, wow, God, like this is really cool. Like take that time just to connect further. Or maybe he's really gifted you with music and just the different kind of music abilities you have, even just listening to music. You're just able to reach a place where you can hear Jesus and understand. Take advantage of that. Like notice those things in your life that bring you so much joy, and you can let Jesus into those moments, and you can take your relationship further. And I just think, like walking on water, that's a pretty extreme step of faith, whether he made it there or not. And so some of us have different moments where our faith has been tested. And so I just want you to know that even if you fall, even if you feel like you're going to fail, Jesus is still always going to catch you because he loves you and he wants nothing better for you than to know that you are loved and cherished by him. Thanks, guys.